Mastery is a process. You do need a degree of illusion. You do need a degree of self-esteem and confidence. Awareness is everything. We're so attuned to what's cool, to what other people are doing out there, to what other people are saying, that we lose kind of an intuitive grasp of who we are. You have to become aware of what you were destined for in this life. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know what makes you different, then the apprenticeship phase is useless. When you're very young, you're extremely vulnerable. You're extremely open to the energies of other people in ways we don't understand right now, right? It's hard to imagine. When you're 2 years old, 1 year old, before you even had really mastered language, you're so dependent on other people. You're so open to them that their energy gets infused. It's completely internalized. And also, children at that age also have their sort of sexual nature is being created at that moment, at a very, very early age. Certain desires, for us, sex is not just a physical thing, it's an emotional thing, right? It's psychological. So things that we didn't get are charged with all of this kind of energy that then could later on turn into sort of desires. So let's say, for instance, you had a mother who was very narcissistic, who really wasn't giving you the normal mother, nurturing, empathetic energy. It was more about her, and you had to pay attention to her, right? Well, that kind of creates this sort of desire. You're as an infant, you really want that love from that mother. You're trying to attract and pull it out of her as best you can. And your energy, your desire is surrounding her with this kind of emotional charged sexual energy. And you're going to find throughout your life, you are going to be attracted to narcissistic women. It's going to be your Achilles heel throughout your life, because you want to kind of heal that wound. You want to be able to play back that initial trauma and sort of rewrite the way it ended up, where now you're going to find this narcissistic woman and she's going to give you finally what you never had before, right? It's a very, very common pattern, right? And so you're not even aware of this. And it's extremely difficult to break out of, because your desire is for this type of person. So you might meet a woman, just doing it from a man's point of view, who isn't narcissistic, who's very empathetic and very caring. And she would be perfect for you. And you may even have a relationship with her. But the excitement, the energy, that charge isn't going to be as strong as with that other type. And you're going to fall back into the old patterns again and again and again. And the only way out of it is to go back and look at your early childhood and look at these wounds and confront them face to face and understand that you're a prisoner of this kind of things that were ingrained in you at a very, very early age. But you have to see your own patterns. And if you have unhealthy patterns where you have fallen again and again and again for the wrong person, you have to see a sort of a through line there. What ties it all together? What's going on, right? And you have to be able to look at them. So awareness is everything. The ability to look at yourself realistically and understand, you're saying, see things as they are, see the world as it is. It begins with yourself, seeing yourself as you are, right? And seeing that your adult self that's so confident and has this, this way about the world is covering over some wounds, some vulnerabilities from your deep childhood. Not everybody, but for a lot of people, that's the case. You have to be willing to rip away the skin and look underneath and see that wound and touch upon it, and then kind of analyze it. So sometimes, you need help in these areas, depending on the depth of the wound. So sometimes you need a third person's eyes on it. You can't necessarily analyze it yourself, which is why you might want to go into therapy, or you might want a spouse or significant other or someone you love and trust who can tell you these things. Because sometimes it's very hard for you to have any kind of distance from them, But the ability to detach yourself from your own emotions is extremely important in life. It doesn't mean that you become a cold, rational person at all. I don't believe in that at all. Emotions are extremely important for us. It's what makes us creative. It's what feeds our imagination, gives us drive. But the ability that you can gain over your life in this instant and in every other instant to have a degree of a detachment, it's only a matter of degree, where you can stand back and you feel something very powerfully. You feel attracted to something or a person. You feel excited or repulsed. And to not react and to step back and analyze and go, why am I feeling this right now? Is it because of what somebody is saying right now? Or does it go deeper to that? Is it related to some other issue? That is a skill that is not easy, but you can develop it day by day by day, taking little steps. And so if you're able to slowly detach yourself from your day-to-day emotional reactions, it gives you a little bit of distance between you and your ego, right? Now, in the case of someone who's dealing with a deep wound, I don't know if you can't go there like tomorrow and do this. I'm a realistic person. I'm very practical. I don't want to advise people something that's not going to happen. It's something that you're going to have to, it's a life skill that you have to build, the power to take a step back and look at yourself with some distance and see that ego as if it's over there, it's floating in front of you, it's giving you signs of who you are. You know, you can develop that, and it's very powerful, and it will give you the ability to look at your own wounds objectively. But you're never going to reach a degree of 100% detachment. So if you're trapped in these patterns and you feel a great degree of pain and your life isn't going anywhere and you're having bad relationships, bad work habits, and you say, I can't deal with this anymore, you're extremely motivated to go through the process that you just mentioned, which is after every event that occurs, you go through a kind of an autopsy, right? And you analyze. You can do this on a daily basis with a journal, or you can do it on a weekly basis. You know, what did I do there? What was the element of where I actually might have created the problem between me and another person? And I have to be reasonably rational, and I have to be reasonably realistic. You're right, if we saw completely into ourselves, we would hate ourselves so thoroughly that we wouldn't get out of bed, we would all be killing ourselves. You do need a degree of illusion. You do need a degree of self-esteem and confidence, right? And what happens is, you know, it's kind of like an internal thermostat. And so you have like people who are what I call deep narcissists, who have no kind of sense, no anchor inside of them, no real sense self-esteem to hold on to. And when that self-esteem starts going down, 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 they have no way of dealing with it. And their only way of dealing with it is acting out in the way that narcissists act out. So we all have, if we're not a deep narcissist, we have that thermostat where things start hurting us a little bit, and we bring ourselves back up through this self-esteem mechanism so we don't get too depressed and too down. And there's an element of unreality to that, but it's very valuable, and I would never, ever, ever want to burst that. You need a degree of illusion in your life. It's very important. But if you really want change, if you're really fed up, if you're not kidding yourself, if you're not going through this process, yeah, I kind of want to change my life, but you don't really mean it, then no words, no therapy will ever get you to that point. You almost have to hit bottom. You almost have to tell yourself, I can't take this anymore. And now the motivation is so deep that you're able now to begin the process of going through that kind of self-analysis, because it's the only way you're going to get out of it. It's the only way. You know, a lot of our culture is making this worse in a way, unfortunately. I mean, there's good things in our culture now, but there are bad things. Social media, for all the good that it does, makes it very hard to be self-reflective. When you compare yourself, your standard is always what other people are doing, right? They're on these great vacations. He's got a great job. Tom has this amazing house where I'm living in this hovel in Los Feliz, right? That's not looking at myself. That's always having the other person as the standard. It makes us so out in the world, in other people, what other people are saying, what other people are doing. It makes us continually think in the social sense and not able to turn inside and look at who we are, what makes us different. We're so attuned to what's cool, to what other people are doing out there, to what other people are saying, that we lose kind of an intuitive grasp of who we are. Mastery is a process, and you have to love the process. You can't just be oriented towards the goal. Just think, I'm going to be so great. You have to enjoy the actual process of it. When you reach that high level, which is the highest level of mastery, and I call it, you have an intuitive feel for it. The thing that you're studying is inside of you. If you're a football player, the field is inside your head, right? If you're a piano player, you've internalized it. That is such an awesome feeling. I've had moments of it like that in my work, in my writing. You reach this point where you don't have to think anymore, and ideas come to you. And so that is what our brain is designed for. We have this insane instrument, the human brain, certainly the most complex organism in the universe, as people say. The mathematical possibilities of connections in the brain are absolutely infinite. It is something that every day we should just wake up and marvel at this thing that we've been given, this insane tool. But people don't use it right. They don't know how to use it. They don't understand the insanity, the marvelousness of this instrument, right? So I wanted to show you that if you understand it, if you move with it, if you develop it in the right way, you can have these powers that are incredible. And the pleasure that you have when you reach that level, because it takes a lot of hours of work, a lot of drudgery, a lot of tedium, a lot of practice. But when you reach that level, it's hard to explain how joyous the feeling is that you have. The first phase of the process is discovering your life's task. And that's the key to everything. It's the key to having a fulfilled life. It's the key to being happy in life. It's the key to reaching the goals that you want. Because what it is it's a process of self-understanding, self-knowledge. You have to become aware of what you were destined for in this life. You were born a unique individual. And it's a very interesting thought. It's the same kind of thought about your brain. Your DNA is unique. The way your parents brought you up, their DNA is unique. The way they brought you up is unique. Your early experiences, you are a true individual, right? And that individuality is, I would compare to like a seed, right? It's been planted in you. And your destiny, your fate in life is to know what that seed is, to know who you are, what makes you different from everybody else, and to cultivate it. And if you don't understand that, the apprenticeship phase will be misery, because you will start trying to learn and do things that aren't suited to your nature. Your brain has what I call a grain to it. And there's a book that I tell people that I like a lot called The 5 Frames of Intelligence by Howard Gardner. And he basically shows that there are 5 different kinds of intelligence. We tend to overemphasize the intellectual, the analytical skill, but there's musical intelligence, pattern intelligence, mathematical intelligence, there's social intelligence, there's kinetic intelligence, which has to do with the body and movement. You have one of them. There's one of them that's stronger than the others. It's where your brain naturally gravitates towards. And if you don't have the right fit, if you're launch your career, you go into law because you think it's going to be making a lot of money, but in fact, your brain and your that seed was made for something else, you're going to end up hitting a wall at some point. You're going to be burning yourself out, and your life will take bad turns, and things will, you will never reach the goals that you want. And so, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what makes you different, then the apprenticeship phase is useless. You have to begin from the process of, I have to know who I am, and it doesn't come easily because you're surrounded by voices. And the way the metaphor I give is that seed that I talked about, that individuality that you have, is like a voice in your head. The great psychologist Abraham Maslow, he called them impulse voices. They're voices saying that this is what I like, this is what I love. And as you get older, you accumulate the voices of your parents, your teachers, your peers, the culture at large, and it drowns it out. You can't hear yourself anymore. You can't hear that impulse voice of what makes you an individual, of what makes you different, of what you love. So you have to understand that you're cutting through this vast cloud of smoke, this screen that has been put in front of you that is preventing you from understanding yourself. So you have to look inward And yet it takes time. It is a process like everything else. I'm saying you can't understand that in a day or a week or a month. It's going to take years. It took me 18 years to discover the kind of books that I wanted to write, right? So it's a process. You have to begin like journaling. You have to kind of write down things. You have to become aware of the things that you love and the things that you hate. And I bring it down to a basic level. The foods that you love, the kinds of things that you like to drink, the clothes that you wear, just understanding what makes you different from other people. You have to go through this process.